Welcome to this leadership interview with a SaaS and sales expert who is also, of course, a tech thought leader. And he is driving growth strategy as well as customer satisfaction at the search AI company Elastic here in India. Today, I'm in conversation with Karthik Rajaram, who is the Area Vice President and General Manager for Elastic in India. Thanks so much, Karthik, for being on the YourStory platform. Great to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Shivani. Thank you.
So, Karthik, my first question to you, when you look at what's at the center of what's driving business and growth these days and what's really driving the conversations, it is, of course, digital transformation and data. And a lot of organizations are accelerating on that front, but they are faced with this massive unstructured amount of data, and that really poses unprecedented sort of opportunities that lie ahead, but you also have complex challenges. And in a world where every problem is increasingly a data problem, probably a good problem to have, how are you looking at what companies can do to actually tackle this amount of data and really look at changing these challenges into a good outcome and impactful outcome?
Absolutely. No, it's a fantastic question, Shivani. I think organizations today are navigating an era where, as you rightly said, data is their greatest asset and also their greatest challenge, right? And a lot of the data that these organizations create, or it's getting created, are what we call unstructured, messy data, right? Now, this data is there in emails, it could be logs, these are customer interactions, these are IoT signals, all kinds of data in different forms and shapes and formats. Now, how do you make sense of that data and glean actionable insights from this complexity is what organizations are grappling with, right? So while data can be the biggest differentiator, given that there's abundance of data available, but the challenge also is the fact that the sheer complexity, the sheer diversity of data, and the fact that data is getting generated and used by different systems with different formats, and all of that operating in silos is a big challenge that organizations today are grappling with. Now, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is, of course, the security and compliance aspects, right? There are certain organizations and verticals which are very heavily regulated, and security and compliance becomes key. So how do you make sure it's the right levels of access, making sure the data is not made available to the bad actors, so on and so forth, are things that organizations need to keep in mind, because obviously there is huge reputational risk at stake if it's not taken care of well, right? So these are some fundamental challenges that organizations grapple with. Now, the unstructured or messy data that I spoke to you about is order of magnitudes more than the structured data. The data that is structured, the traditional databases do a great job of managing it, and you can run analysis on it. But it's the unstructured data that traditional databases are not able to do very well, right? That's where an organization like Elastic comes in, right? Because we do a phenomenal job of making sure we take that unstructured, semi-structured, messy data and help organizations and employees in these organizations make sense of it to glean and derive actionable insights, right? So Elastic, very simply, we are a search AI company where we combine the precision of search with the intelligence of AI, right? And search itself has evolved significantly, right? And now there is, with this advent of what used to be called transformer models and now called large language models like OpenAI, it is a force multiplier, right? Because there is just so much that you can do with generative AI. Now, generative AI is phenomenal when it comes to consumer use cases, right? You go in and ask generative AI a question, but these LLMs are not trained on private data. They're trained on public data, right? So it's important that for an LLM to work within an organization, it needs to be grounded in contextual proprietary information. And that's where Elastic comes in and acts as a contextual bridge to provide information that is relevant and contextual for the LLMs to use and generate data and derive all the insights that needs to be derived from it.
Sure, great context that you said there, Karthik. Now, talking specifically about the India market, if you can tell us a little bit more about Elastic's strategic vision to expand here in India, because we are looking at a time where the digital economy is exploding. We have this huge, new economy, a lot of digital native businesses also that are taking shape. And in this environment, how do you believe, search-powered AI will actually come across as a business critical enabler for businesses such as these? And from a leadership position such as yours, what do you believe is the single most transformative impact that a company like Elastic can have?
Absolutely. No, I think you said it right. Like India is at this inflection point of the digital transformation. You take any segment, any vertical, right? There is this transformation that's happening right from, like you said, digital natives to public sector to large enterprises to financial institutions and etc. Right? So when this is happening, and just India as a market itself, just the sheer diversity and complexity of it is what makes it so beautiful, right? And give you an example. Uh, One of the largest B2B marketplaces that we work with, right? They cater to tier 3, tier 4 cities and towns and districts. Now, in India, we speak several languages, innumerable dialects, right? And to make sure you're effectively engaging with folks in tier 3, tier 4 towns, cities, and villages, it is just a very complex problem to solve. It's a very complex data problem, right? Now, if you got to solve for it, it's not possible to do it manually. That's where AI comes in, right? If you're able to train those models to solve for these use cases of dialects and languages, then you've solved a very, very challenging billion-dollar problem, right? And that's what a lot of organizations in India are doing very, very well. Now, like you rightly said, every problem is a data problem, right? If you want to elevate customer and employee experience or employee productivity, that's a data problem. If you want to improve the operational resilience of an organization, that's a data problem. Improving the security posture of an organization, that again is a data problem, right? So data is front and center to most key business priorities of organizations, and that's a board level conversation, which is where, to make sense of, like I said, that vast amounts of unstructured data, and to make sure you're providing the right level of context and grounding to the LLMs so that they are effective, that's where Elastic comes in and plays an extremely critical role in making sure that the data that is getting fed to these LLMs is used in the right way with the right level of access, making sure all aspects of privacy and security are taken into consideration. So that's where data becomes front and center and is a problem that's got to be solved for. And that's where Elastic comes in, that kind of combines the precision of search with the intelligence of AI to deliver key outcomes for our customers.
Right, Karthik, we've of course spoken about the overwhelming surge of data and the complexities in really managing all of it. So, how does Elasticsearch AI, the tools and solutions really equip companies, and how are you yourself equipped to really address these challenges to ensure that companies are able to take data-driven decisions at the end of the day?
No, I think that's a great question, Shivani. I think AI is core to everything that we do and is infused into our platform and all the solutions that we're delivering for our customers. I'll give you a classic example, right? Security is so key to organizations, and every organization is looking to enhance their security posture because, as you're aware, the bad actors are getting a lot more sophisticated, again, ironically, because they're starting to use AI in a very significant way, right? So we came out with still a patent pending attack discovery capability that triages hundreds and thousands of alerts to identify the few attacks that matter and provides that visibility and intelligence in a very intuitive way to SOC specialists and practitioners so that they are able to look at data, gain actionable insights, and detect and resolve problems very quickly. So when there's huge amounts of data, there could be tons of alerts, but they're not necessarily things that SOC analysts should be spending time on. That's where AI becomes key, because our offering connects and integrates very well with LLMs that's going to help you triage, like I said, hundreds and thousands of alerts to identify the few attacks that matter, so that the SOC specialists and practitioners are spending time and energy to solve for those and hunt those and resolve those.
Sure, an interesting use case is evolving with AI and generative AI. We'll talk about that in a few moments. But coming to what you're doing, particularly in India, further on that, in terms of your customer-centric innovation and really tailoring products and solutions for the Indian market, if you can highlight some sort of case studies or customer success stories where Elasticsearch-powered AI solutions have been a catalyst in significant business transformation for your clients here in India.
Absolutely. No, like I said, we work across segments, across verticals, and AI and generative AI is a board level conversation. I'll give you a few examples. We work with one of the India's largest conglomerates that has come out with an internal chatbot built on generative AI to help information discovery easy for their employees so that they're able to respond to their customers and clients faster, right? That's entirely built on generative AI, and we partner with that conglomerate in a very meaningful way. We work with another employee experience platform that uses semantic search to deliver tremendous amount of productivity gains for their clients and customers. Another large organization that we work with is Airtel, where they have come out with a security operations center to provide DDoS as a service, WAF as a service, vulnerability testing, penetration testing services to their end customers. And we partner very closely with them to help them with visualization, centralized logging, and various other things that they're able to deliver for their end customers. So like I said, we work across a plethora of companies to help them solve very real data challenges and deliver meaningful insights and outcomes for them.
So do you also have a local go-to-market strategy in India? And, if you can talk more about the ecosystem you have here, addressing the specific challenges for Indian enterprises, and also what sort of partnership strategy do you have to really maximize your market penetration in
Absolutely,
India?
yeah. No, I think it's a very interesting thing, Shivani, is I've been with Elastic for about 9 months now. And what amazes me till today is there is not a customer or a prospect that I've met who are not using the Elastic platform, right? They're either paying customers of ours or they are using our open source version, right? And we're very proud with our open source heritage. Elastic is the 6th most popular open source project of all time, right? We are the most downloaded vector database in the world, which is so key to generative AI and RAG style applications, right? So from a focus standpoint, we are focused on a few key verticals, right? Public sector is a big focus area for us. Digital natives is a huge focus area for us. Financial services, of course, and then telecom and media. We have lots of customers and interesting conversations going on there, right? So these are the few verticals where data is a key differentiator for these organizations that we work very closely with. In terms of partnerships, is another great question. We work with all 3 hyperscalers in India, be it Microsoft, GCP, and AWS, and we have fantastic partnerships with them. In fact, we very frequently win Partner of the Year award with all of these 3 hyperscalers. We also work with the largest system integrators in India, the likes of Infosys and TCS and Kyndryl, to kind of go deliver transformative outcomes for some of our largest enterprises. So that's our partner strategy. We work with hyperscalers, we work with GSIs, we work with niche security partners. So we straddle across a spectrum of organizations from a partnership standpoint to make sure we are having the right level of coverage in the market.
Sure, and you mentioned your open source sort of platform that you have. That also brings me to the question of R&D. You have an innovation hub here in India. So if you can tell me a little bit about how the India team is really contributing to Elastic's global advancements, and any sort of breakthrough or specific innovations that has originated from this particular India hub.
Sure. No, I think that's a great question. And India is strategic to Elastic, right? India is home to the world's largest developer ecosystem, and we are all in on developers, right? And we are the 2nd largest employee base at Elastic after the US, right? And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we are distributed and remote first from day one. And all our processes and tools and systems are optimized to make sure that employees are productive in this kind of a setup, right? So we don't look at India from a cost arbitrage standpoint. If we find great talent, we will hire, right, wherever they are. And India is home to an exceptional talent pool. And like I said, we have various functions in India, right, from sales, marketing, customer support, finance, product, R&D, engineering, right? So we have a big focus area. We have huge focus in India, and India is a significant contributor to Elastic's uh, mission in making sure we are able to help every organization find answers at scale with relevance.
Right. If you can tell me a little bit more about, how are you planning to nurture and scale this talent pool further from here on?
Yeah. See, I think one of the things that we're doing is we very recently had a flagship event in India called Elasticon. In fact, it is fitting that we kicked off this year's Elasticon here in Bangalore, which is home to the world's largest developer ecosystem, right? And developers in India have made very significant contributions to the Elastic platform, either through open source contributions or building on top of our Elastic platform. And like I said, we are all in on developers, and everything that we do is keeping developers front and center. In fact, we made some fundamental changes to the Elastic platform in itself to make sure we are able to bring the innovation of generative AI and vector search faster to developers in India, right? We have come out with what we call a search AI lake, which is a pioneering cloud native architecture that combines the expansive storage capacity of a data lake with the low latency querying, powerful vector search capabilities of our platform, right? And this powers our serverless offerings that is enabling developers to just start to build applications in the platform and write code and not be constrained by the underlying infrastructure. So developers no longer have to worry about the underlying clustering and the versioning and the scaling, right? You just bring your data and get started on the Elastic platform. Every so we constantly strive to make sure that we are making it easy for developers to start to build and start to use a platform.
Right, great to see the fact that building out this ecosystem as well and engaging with the developer and tech community here in India. You mentioned your event Elasticon. If you can tell me a couple of key insights and trends that came out of that big event for Elastic, and how are you using some of these trends or insights to sort of pave the way for strategy as well at
Yeah,
Elastic?
no, absolutely. I think it was a humongous success. We had almost close to 5,000 registrations. It was a paid event, and we had to stop registrations like 2 to 3 weeks before the event, right? And the response was just overwhelming. In fact, at some point in time, I think seeing the reception that this event has, we want to kind of see if we can do it at a much larger venue in the future. Uh, but I mean, we had tons of customers that came on board to speak about how they're using Elastic to drive transformative business outcomes, be it elevating employing customer experience, improving operational resilience, or improving security posture of the organizations. We had Misho, Airtel, Redbus, like a lot of customers came. And obviously, the big focus was how do we use generative AI to enhance customer experience, employee productivity, and the various things that comes with it, right? So I think just to have front row seats to the kind of innovation that's happening in these organizations, and of course we're seeing that digital natives are leading the pack, but we're also starting to see large enterprises really double down on very interesting generative AI use cases, like financial institutions trying to use generative AI for fraud detection use cases, automating specific processes like bank account opening or loan origination, etc. And then starting to see some of the large public sector organizations using generative AI to really enhance their delivery of citizen services. I think it's just a very, very interesting time. And I think it just kind of it's a transformative trend. speak about internet in the mid 90s, and then we talk about cloud computing and mobile computing. And a lot of times we tend to underestimate what happens in the long term and overestimate what happens in the short term. Very similar to the mid 90s, where we said internet is going to change the world in 3 years or 5 years, but it took its time. But the impact that the internet, for example, is having is order of is several times higher than what we thought the impact would be, right? And I think that's what is going to happen with generative AI as well.
Sure. You spoke about how generative AI is going to be the game changer, and specifically in data analytics as well. How are you looking at integrating Gen AI into some of Elastic's products, and also what role is it playing in terms of enhancing search capabilities?
Absolutely, like I said, like generative AI is core to what we build, right? And like I said, Elastic is a search AI platform that combines the precision of search with the intelligence of AI, right? And this means that we're not just helping organizations find answers at scale, but are also helping them unlock deep insights through AI. And like I said, like Elastic is the most downloaded vector database in the world, and that's a huge thing. This underscores our relevance in the field of generative AI and rack style applications. I gave you an example of the attack discovery feature that we released, which triages hundreds and thousands of alerts to identify the few attacks that matter. And we demoed it at the RSA conference a few months back, and the response was mind blowing. And that is possible only because we integrate with generative AI and the LLMs, right? And I think in that sense, we integrate with all the large LLMs, be it OpenAI, Google, Cohere, you name it, we have it. We have those integrations on. And what we're also starting to see is it's important for the generative AI to become a lot more mainstream. It's important that the cost of inferencing comes down, and we're seeing that it's coming down quite significantly, right? And even at Elastic, one of the things that we are very focused on is we're constantly trying to optimize the platform to make it cost effective for our developers and the organizations that we work with. So what you could do with Elastic, or what you could accomplish with, let's say, our platform 3 years back, the same thing we can accomplish today, but it's going to cost you 10, 20, 30% lesser, right? So that's one of the things that we're very, very focused on, right? Because if generative AI and AI and all of that has to become mainstream, the cost of compute, the cost of inferencing needs to come down. And it is our endeavor that we're constantly striving to make that happen.
Yeah, glad that you brought up that point, because in a lot of discussions that we have, there's always this debate of is all of this a cost or an investment in the long
Yeah.
run when you do a lot of solutioning around data and AI. You spoke about some of the key industries that you service: public services, retail, education in India. If you can highlight some of the common challenges that these sectors
Absolutely.
face
Yeah.
when it comes to data management, and how you're
Absolutely.
helping them.
So when it comes to retail or e-commerce, we see a lot of generative AI use cases, specifically in the realm of customer experience, right? Because AI can help you with personalization, it can help you with recommendations, it can help you with various other things. In the field of financial services, it can help you with fraud detection, because you're able to run models and correlate information across various patterns and help detect anomalies. In the field of, let's say, public sector and government, obviously generative AI is huge in the sense that you can use it to deliver enhanced citizen services in a very meaningful way at scale. Because in India, we talked about the scale and the complexity. And if you got to do things at scale in India and the level of complexity that it brings in, you have to use AI in a very meaningful way. And we are working with a lot of organizations across verticals, across sectors to make that happen. Globally, Elastic has 20,000 plus customers, and we're already working with 1,300 plus customers in generative AI use cases. And I'm very confident in the next few years, that's probably going to get to 70, 80, 90%.
Sure. So, closing comments, Karthik, in terms of the overall picture that you see in India, both the opportunities and the challenges, how are you looking at it in terms of, data accessibility and management are the core issues. But in terms of the obstacles or the future that you foresee, in terms of Elastic's mission to support India's digital transformation journey? Anything that you would want to see on the policy side, on any sort of public frameworks? What are your views?
So what we're seeing is very encouraging, right? What we're starting to see is government is very, very focused on encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship, right? But one also needs to be mindful and have the right level of guardrails to make sure generative AI is not used in any way that is in any shape and form evil, right? So it's very, very important to have the right level of public-private partnerships. And at Elastic, for us, it's while we're very focused on generative AI, it's privacy-first AI that we are constantly focused on, right? So we work with organizations, and like I talked to you about grounding of LLMs, right? Because sometimes LLMs can hallucinate, right? And can mislead you, which is why it's important that you're able to ground your LLM with proprietary or business data or private data to provide that context, right? And that's where Elastic really plays with what we're doing right now. So I think it's a very, very exciting space. Like I said, like in the past 9 months, I'm yet to come across or meet an organization that's not using Elastic in some shape and form. So it's just about making sure that we are having the right conversations with the right folks and making sure we are able to deliver on our promise of generative AI and really democratize the use of data to make sure everybody gets benefit, and it's not just the data analyst that you've got to rely on to kind of make sense of the data and drive meaningful business outcomes.
Right. You say that you've captured a lot of the market here in India, but going forward, what is, your 5-year vision for Elastic here in India, and what excites you the most as a leader with, of course, deep expertise in tech and sales when you look at the future of AI and search technologies in India?
Like I said, I think my team and I are incredibly fortunate to have had front row seats and to witness and partner with a lot of innovation that's happening from the smallest organizations to the largest enterprises and conglomerates. And like I said, data and solving for data is a board level conversation, right? And to just be a part of it and to see the various use cases that emerge and the kind of very tangible business outcomes that organizations are having when they're able to infuse AI in the right way into their systems and processes, that is extremely exciting to see. So I think I would say in the next 5 years is just, like I said, we have a large number of customers who are using us on generative AI use cases, but I think in a few years, it's going to be like 80, 90%. So that's really exciting for us. And just to be a part of that innovation and to co-create solutions with our customers and partners to kind of deliver on that promise is what is extremely exciting to me.
Thank you so much for your time, Karthik, and for sharing, of course, your strategic vision and journey as a tech leader. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.